Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would also like to extend to my colleagues sympathy and prayers for the great losses that they've suffered just in the last couple of months, including my colleague Andy Barr as well. The CARES Act provided $600 per week in temporary supplemental unemployment benefits to support public health by allowing businesses and workers to get through closures, stay-at-home orders, and to flatten the curve. This was a necessary step back in March, but if we want a V-shaped recovery as states and cities safely reopen, we need to take a different tact on this benefit so that it doesn't inadvertently disincentivize people from returning to work. So, for instance, in my home state of Indiana, workers receiving the $600 federal supplement would be getting about 3 times as much as they otherwise would on unemployment. So, factor in the comparatively low cost of living in my district, and in many cases, a worker would make more on unemployment than they would if they returned to work. In fact, the University of Chicago estimates that over 2/3 of unemployment insurance recipients nationwide are in this situation, and that over 20% are receiving double their salary. I want to be clear, I have no issue with any worker who took this benefit. Congress made it available at a time when much of the economy was going to be shut down for an undetermined amount of time. That additional benefit that did help workers pay rent, put food on the table, and have peace of mind as they found themselves unemployed or furloughed through no fault of their own. But now businesses are reopening and rehiring and shouldn't have to compete with a temporary government benefit. That's why Ways and Means Ranking Member Brady and myself have supported looking at a back to work bonus proposal that would make work pay by allowing workers to keep up to 2 weeks worth of that additional benefit after accepting a job, essentially a $1,200 sign on bonus. We also want to make sure that states provide clear notice to unemployment claimants about work, to work obligations, and good cause exceptions. I also think there's a better policy than a Democrats' partisan bill, the HEROES Act, which would extend the $600 work incentive through January of 2021. The nonpartisan CBO said that doing this would weaken incentives to work, decrease economic output, and decrease employment. In short, it would kill our economic recovery. Another misguided policy in the Partisan HEROES Act is restoring unlimited deductions for state and local taxes, or SALT. The Nonpartisan Joint Committee on Taxation has found that only 1% of the benefits of this policy would go to those making less than $100,000 a year. So instead, over half of the projected benefits would go to those with annual incomes of $1 million or more. This does nothing to rebuild our economy. In fact, it gives the wealthiest a whole cake while the middle class is stuck with the crumbs. Tax experts on the left and right agree that restoring an unlimited SALT deduction is a bad policy. And just a few weeks ago, Mr. Furman, who's with us today, reportedly said restoring SALT was a waste of money that would not help the economic recovery. So as we climb out of this crisis, we need serious, substantive, bipartisan proposals that incentivize people to go back to work and to rebuild our economy and their lives, not bloated partisan bills that disincentivize work and provide rich things as giveaways. Ms. Gressler, would we be more or less likely to see a V-shaped recovery if we extend the $600 a week unemployment benefit for 6 more months and restore the SALT deduction as the Democrat HEROES Act does?
No, and I think the CBO report that came out evaluating that 600 proposal shows that it will actually hurt the economy in the long run. We will see lower output employment next year. And all this push with the $600 benefit is just keeping with the inertia. But we have to recognize that when Congress established this benefit, it wasn't because it was the best designed program. It was simply the quickest way to get the money out the door. Recognizing that it was going to have these problems. And now that we see what the problems have been, that's all the more reason to let that benefit expire and then to more properly target the benefits to the people who actually need them, and talk about ways that if you have a reduction in hours and income, maybe you can have that partial benefit that's coming in so that you go back to work 20 hours a week and you still get something from unemployment. But we don't want it to be manipulated. There's even been cases, Portland, Oregon has what they call furlough Fridays. They're laying their teachers off for furloughing them for 1 day a week so that they can collect the $600 benefit plus a partial unemployment benefit. The workers are better off. Oregon taxpayers are better off. It's federal taxpayers who are going to bear the brunt of that.
I appreciate it, Mr. Chairman. I yield back.